Like,
dude,
the receivers are still there.
It's
Jalen
almost
Hurts,
exactly the same. It's just they got Saquon Barkley now.
No other big differences, you think?
Their defense,
it feels like
the
Kansas
Philly
City
defense is better. Kansas,
it feels
City,
like Kansas City is very different.
No, it's Pacheco is still the running back.
But this is a hobbled Pacheco coming back. It's more a team between Pacheco and
their best defensive lineman still Chris Jones. They're like you could say that McDuffie, who was a rookie at this point, I think, is maturing and he's better. Their secondary, I guess. The Chiefs secondary is upgraded, but the receivers are kind of similar.
I don't know. I want to talk about the Kansas City receivers going into this game because
Xavier Worthy has had a really awesome playoffs.
Absolutely, and you can tell he's really getting more involved. But I'm kind of interested in talking about some of the other receivers. I mean, they've got Hollywood Brown, who's seen some targets in some games.
He drops balls.
Absolutely. We've seen. DeAndre Hopkins is on that team.
He hasn't done anything.
I know, weird, but I mean, this is a high quality receiver in a big game. Like, I don't know.
But I think Juju is on this team too.
On this one, yeah. Watching.
I don't even remember if this game was close.
And it's funny because you didn't bring up Juju, and to me, Juju has been more valuable than either of the guys that you mentioned, because he actually he does what he's supposed to. He's always where he's supposed to be, and when Mahomes throws Juju the ball, he makes the catch. His hands, he makes plays. He makes more plays than those guys do.
But Juju's not on the team this year.
Right? He's on the team right now. What are you talking about?
Is he really?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
That's funny.
You've got to be kidding me.
Dude, they have so many receivers.
That's insane. You notice Hollywood Brown, but you don't notice Juju, who's a former Steeler.
Did you guys put together a DraftKings lineup? No, okay. I threw one together for fun.
I typically don't like doing the single games.
Yeah, I'm not big on the single games either. It's so...
But I mean...
The fewer the games, the more the luck factor. You know what I mean?
But it's a good thing we're watching this because you might change your mind after...
Who do you got?
I'm going Kansas City.
Are you?
I think Kansas City's going to win this one.
I think it's Philly's turn.
I think Mahomes is just too much.
I'm starting to lean... I was thinking KC going into it, but I'm starting to lean Eagles. The more my brain's marinating on it.
So going into the championship weekend, what I said was that the most important thing for the Eagles and their chances, going forward, was that Jalen Hurts needed to be, to play more like himself, not be so hesitant. He was decisive in the championship game. He destroyed them, and that's that guy going into the Super Bowl with what they've got going on running the football, and I think they are going to be successful running the football. I don't think Kansas City is going to be able to stop them. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football. It's not even close.
I was thinking all the tush pushes they're going to get. I'm just thinking all those things. And with Saquon that I'm like, what is the, what are the Kansas City doing different? The Eagles haven't seen.
They're not.
And Travis Kelce hasn't been playing as impactful in his past years. I would wonder though how much of an impact did Travis Kelce have in this game right here.
At this point, their advantage is that they have so many tricks in their bag. Like when they won the Super Bowl last year, that last play was a play they hadn't called in 3 years or something like that. But Mahomes, they were familiar with it, and it was essentially the same guys that were running it. And because that was Mecole Hardman, I think, and it was the only thing Mecole Hardman did all year long was score that game-winning touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. But it was because he had institutional knowledge.
See, and Saquon would have got that in.
That is true.
They gave it to him. It looks like.
Well,
and Gainwell's still on the team.
He's
still the backup.
Now, did Juju start the year off on New England or a different team?
No, he was just hurt.
He's just hurt all year?
Yeah.
Well, because I even go to his picture in DraftKings, and he's not wearing a Kansas City jersey. He's wearing a New England.
They don't
jersey.
always update.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm not the only one that didn't know.
So does fucking
I'm
draft.
sure they know. That's funny.
Yeah, DraftKings Juju is only 2,000. Hopkins is 4,000.
So what do you guys think about Cooper Kupp leaving the Rams? I think it's probably a mature move for McVay. I was thinking about it because I'm getting that question a lot, being a Rams fan.
My question is like, why are they coming off so desperate to move him?
Do you think Do you think that looks desperate? Okay.
I think it. So
he hasn't done anything really in 2 years. So
what is it?
Granted, he was injured, but it's like the team's learned to move on without him. He's probably got some good,
I'm not saying it's a bad move from
a
roster construction standpoint. What I'm saying is that it looks desperate because it's January when we're talking about when like these announcements were like they're like 2 weeks old now. You know how they announced. I mean, maybe not. It's somewhere between a week and 2 weeks old now. And they announced that they are likely to seek a trade, and they formally announced to him. They called him and told him that they were going to be seeking a trade. And so then it became just a mushroom cloud of people talking about it for a second.
Well, because he put it out there. Because Kupp went out and put that on social media.
Kupp wasn't the first one. There were NFL insiders were the first ones, like and people that you trust were posting that it was coming from the organization somewhere. There was a leak somewhere, right. So they had to actually tell him.
But it was a rumor. It was a maybe. It was a probably. And then Kupp came out on social media.
It was big enough that they had to actually acknowledge it. And had to make it formal, but it's the second half to me, the part where they're willing to eat some of the salary in order to move him.
So I have to take this game down.
Okay.
I just got a copyright notice. They turned my stream off.
Oh,
so yeah, we'll have to take that down and just bullshit. Or we could just have it playing and I not show it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
That's the best way to go.
Okay, let me do this.
That wasn't something that I felt we needed. People can look at our ugly mugs.
Well, and
as we look at Super Bowl,
do we have? I was going to say,
if you want to follow along,
people watching,
just let us know, and we'll let you know exactly where we're at in the game, and you can just catch up with us.
Yeah.
Bezzy, if you're out there.
Right.
Let's see. Dude, he appeared in 14 games this year.
Who?
Juju.
Oh.
Sorry. 18 catches, 231 yards.
There we go.
For the season?
2 touchdowns. That was his season.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, because he played, let me see. Let's look at it. But
what up, Bezzy? We're working on. Let's see here.
Oh, Bezzy is here. Hey,
it's really
what's
interesting.
going on, brother?
He played 94% of the snaps in Week 18. When they didn't play anybody,
yeah,
and they're getting ready for the playoffs. Part of their getting ready was playing Juju the entire game.
Well, part of their getting
but he okay. So here are snap percentages. So he missed a stretch of games in the middle. He didn't play much at the beginning of the year, and he got hurt in Week 7. So you remove those games. 55, 52, 67. Came back from injury, 36. 55, 56, 49, 51. 36, 50, 94. So he's on the field, and I'm curious as to what percentage of those receptions, the 18 receptions, are on third down, because it felt like Mahomes would find him on third down a lot, and also what percentage of those catches were for first downs, because I imagine both of those numbers are high, like we're talking north of 60.
Hopkins is also coming back, just because we were talking about him as well. But Hopkins is also coming back from injury.
Well, remember, he's got a problem that he's going to have to get surgery for in the offseason.
What was it?
Knee injury.
Okay.
He's been dealing with it all year long.
But I mean, he went through a pretty decent stretch. I mean, he had a high of 28, but then 9, 5, 14, 13, 13.
You talking about
8,
percentage
7.
of snaps?
No, points, fantasy points.
Oh,
No, I'd imagine the snap percentage would be a lot higher than that. But that is not on this stat here.
let's see. I can. Let me look at the. And Juju did have 3 targets against Buffalo. He caught 2 of them for 60 yards.
That's efficient.
Yes, it's efficient. Let's see.
We are currently at 12 minutes and 35 seconds into the Super Bowl game. We're watching the Eagles and KC.
A lot of the teams are the same, or a lot of the players are the same. So we kind of want to get a feel for it and maybe get a preview for what we're gonna enjoy this afternoon.
So
now, like a lot of people are making a big deal about, Kansas City and the Eagles again. I don't want to watch this. I'm not excited about the Super Bowl. Is that you guys, or like?
I'm
Obviously,
less excited about the Super Bowl than
usual.
years, yeah.
So, Hopkins in the playoffs. Snap percentage 31% in the divisional round, 18% last week. A total of three targets, 1 catch for 11 yards.
Yeah, it's funny. We keep jumping from topic to topic, but it's so funny. The amount of receivers on the Kansas City side and just the people they're rotating through. But it feels like everybody's healthy this week, so I think that Andy Reid is just going to have a lot of plays.
He's going to be able to do whatever he wants, pull everything out of his bag this week.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun. So, are you guys taking the over or the under on this game? Because that's the hardest question of the week for me.
What's the over?
49 right now,
over.
I think. It's been moving up and down a little bit, but
I can see it going over pretty easy.
I can definitely see it going over, but these are 2 fantastic defenses, and these are 2 offenses that really want to grind out the clock. So I can see it being an under game as well. If I really had to bet on it, I guess I'd pick the under, but that's not what I'd want to bet on because, that's a tough one. I feel good about Kansas City winning today, though. Like that's I've got a couple of lunch bets. I was trying to bet $100 and nobody wanted to take it. Like nobody wants to bet against the Chiefs this year. I work with a bunch of bettors and nobody wants to bet against the Chiefs.
And that's the guy that I would play today in DFS is
Kelce.
because that's where I feel like the Eagles can be had a little bit is up the middle of their defense.
Yeah.
Does it me or does it seem like Kelce has that happy weight on him this year?
Happy weight.
Oh, I was like happy weight. Okay.
No, I think he looks the same.
Do you? I'm looking at him right here and I'm like, Kelce don't look like that this year.
Yeah.
Starting to settle.
Starting to settle. So Hollywood Brown snap percentage in the playoffs.
Okay.
67%, 65. Has
And he goosed in one of those, huh?
He had 2 targets and no catches.
Yeah.
And then he had last week he had 3 catches for 35 yards.
Yeah, I saw his snap percentage going up. I'm like, I'm gonna throw him in my DFS lineup.
So Juju's outperforming both of those guys. So it's just worthy. That is.
Yeah.
And then you got to worry about guys like P. Ryan. Like I think I would play him. He's got to be cheap to play today, and he plays on a lot of passing downs, like almost every third down.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important play of the game in the championship game to close out the game, they drew it up for P. Ryan. That play was that was
weird, but
it was drawn up for him.
But isn't that what makes it a surprise? Is that it's drawn up for P. Ryan?
What I'm saying is that he can. What I'm saying is that it's a good, touchdown or bust play. Like a kind of not a punt but not punt play because he's going to get important opportunities at some point.
Now you just got me watching a game.
82,
I'm like spacing in and out.
82% in both games for Worthy in terms of snap percentage, and he had 6+ targets in both games.
And honestly, Worthy's looked good doing it. Like he's
Down the stretch, he looked really good.
Yes.
He was insane. His last 3 games, he had 11, 11, and 9 targets.
Yeah, not looking quite as impressive as Rice did at the end of the season last year when things started to come together for him. But close. It's I think it's a good comp. And if I recall, Rice had a heck of a Super Bowl last year.
We made a TikTok on Fortnite, like showing a ref and Patrick Mahomes and stuff, and I was hoping it would go viral, but I think TikTok shuts some of that stuff off when it gains traction. They're like, no, you got to pay, for your advertising. Because I was getting like the likes and the shares and stuff on trend for it. I'll show it to you, but they just kind of like just stopped it.
Yeah, Rice had a longer stretch where he was great last year, and but it's similar. And the Super Bowl, he was he had 6 catches for 39 yards or something.
Just
like
hit
that.
play when you're ready. So we made that yesterday.
Too violent?
And I think like with Fortnite, you're able to do shit like that, and I'm surprised I'm not seeing it everywhere.
Huh.
Especially right now in the shop, they're selling like the Patrick Mahomes stuff and all the gear, and like I would figured like I'd see that all over fucking TikTok right now, but no.
That's really funny. I think the Eagles player is actually like that's a real number.
No, yeah, I looked him up.
Zach Bond.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I looked it up. Linebacker and everything.
Yeah. So that guy is on a 1-year contract for like the league minimum or somewhere close. And he came onto the team to play special teams, and had himself a hell of a season. And now he's gonna get paid.
Is he in this game?
No.
That's right. You said he came on for 1 year.
Yeah, he just came. I can't even remember which team he was on first.
So, can he move like that?
Hurts?
Yeah. Can he?
Hurts,
Is he going to come
still
into the
move
game
like
being able
that.
to move?
Oh, Jalen Hurts is fine.
But the problem has been his accuracy this year seems to have gone down. Like his accuracy has been worse this year.
Did
than
you
it
watch the
has been for
championship
last
game?
2 years. Yeah. So because he was better in that one game that
I was thinking the same
season,
thing. I was
the
like,
one that got him to the Super Bowl.
That's one game.
I mean, he played well in that game,
No,
and he might play well in this one. I'm just saying.
So at the
On the
beginning,
season.
the first stretch of the season, I agree with you. They weren't playing very well. He was taking too long in the pocket, and then they came back from their bye, and they just kind of he was more.
How'd they get
Seemed
the
more
ball?
focused. Seemed like they had more of a direct plan. They just changed everything they were doing, and they won 9 games in a row, 10 games in a row, something
9,
like
I
that. And he looked good all the time.
Do they have Gray still? Does Casey still have Gray?
When I got locked in on, oh man, this team's going to the Super Bowl, was that Sunday night game against the Rams, because the Rams were coming off of that really huge win against the Bills, where they beat them like 45-42 or something like that, whatever it was, and then the Eagles just crushed them. Like
following week,
yeah, and
we didn't get to talk. We didn't talk about the Bills, and because we skipped last week because there was no game, so we never talked about the Bills versus KC, or we didn't talk about the Eagles versus Washington.
well, if we're going to talk,
game, but
if we're going to talk about it, we got to talk about it, and that's like the end of the game, right?
sure, yeah,
Oh,
let's start there. Yeah. The inspiration for TikTok videos.
So, that's funny. So, I'm in the camp of, they should have gotten the first down on third down. Like I thought they misplaced the ball.
Okay.
On
third
down.
I remember that. Yeah.
Was that the Dawson Knox catch? I think it was. It was one of the tight ends. It was either Knox or Kincaid. I'm not sure. But I thought they got it on third down. I couldn't believe they called it short. And then they just kind of ran up there to the line. And I was like, they're not going to look at that. And they ran the sneak. And I don't know, honestly, like if he got it. It looked like he got it. Usually that line, like I know that line is not official that we watch on, but it's usually pretty good, and it's only really gotten better over time. So after having said that, I don't think that there's a conspiracy to help the Chiefs win games. I think officials just miscall sometimes.
Agreed.
And so I didn't think that watching the game. I didn't think that there was a bunch of calls that went Kansas City's way, and in fact, Buffalo got a couple. Like I believe there was an incompletion that Buffalo got for like 25 yards or something like that. They didn't go back and look at. They just kind of came up and snapped the ball real quick, so the officials didn't get to take a look. And I remember thinking, well, that's one for Buffalo. You know?
Oh yeah, I do vaguely. Yeah.
And I think.
Because I remember thinking the same thing. It's like the play is fuzzy, but I remember thinking, oh, see, Buffalo gets calls too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think with that third down should have been a first. Like it felt like, regardless of what the line was on the television screen, it felt like they didn't spot the ball right. They moved it back like 6 inches.
And apparently, the two officials who ran up from either side of the field were not aligned. One of them was farther up the field than the other one, and they kind of like, I don't know if they split the difference or if they just went with the guy.
Can you imagine if they do that? Split the difference.
Right.
Hey, when you're in the spot, man, you got to do something.
And speaking of split the difference, I thought actually the most interesting call in the game was the interception, not interception, that ended up being a catch, even though the ball, like if we're gonna say that he grabbed, you know which play I'm talking about, the play with Worthy. It was like a 20-yard catch, put him inside like the 5 or something like that. But as they were going up for it, the Bills cornerback had his hands on the ball, and it looked like it was going to be an interception. And they both kind of rolled to the ground, and they both were on the ball when they got to the ground.
Okay.
And they gave the possession to the receiver, but when you look at the replay, in taking the ball from him, the ball hits the ground, and it doesn't like roll around a bunch, but it's definitely there. It looks like there's a point where no one has control of the ball, and the ball's on the ground. And as they continue it, like there's like tied possession, and then the tie goes to the receiver, and so they gave the Chiefs the play, and I believe it was third down. So like if it had just been called incomplete, and I'm not sure like how the rules work there. That was the thing I was the most interested in throughout the game, was because it's like, so how do the rules work there? Like, is it because they called because the play, I believe originally the play was called as an interception.
Okay.
So they ruled it as a catch. Were they not able to go back and say it was incomplete?
No, I think that would have been part of the review. So I mean,
it was really. I thought that was the weirdest call to me. I remember when that one happened, I was like,
yeah, that's not one that stuck out in my head. So
we should look that up because it was. I thought it was a huge play.
Right.
That one was the most questionable to me. The one at the end was like I had more questions about, and I was saying this out loud like on the drive before, where they failed on 3rd and 1 and ended up kicking the field goal. Like I can't believe they're still gonna if the announcers are talking about the Chiefs knowing that they like to always do, they like to always go left, then the Bills have to be aware of their own tendency to do that.
For sure.
And have to have some sort of contingency plan for a team that is, obvious. And they, at that point, how many times did they stuff him? Like 5 times? It was a lot. It felt like it was the theme of the game.
Yeah,
to me, that was the theme of the game was Buffalo's short power game with Josh Allen did not work. More so than it was about officiating, it was that, and not only did it not work,
going to it,
and they kept going. And in the most important point of the game, you've already been stopped several times.
I think that's a great point. Yeah,
and you didn't have a backup plan to execute right there.
Because in real time, that's what I was thinking too. Is you doing that again?
Yes.
That was I was why?
Yes.
What do you?
Same.
They just stopped you, and they stopped you previously doing that. Like they're ready for you there. Don't do that again. You have so many other plays. You have so much talent on this team. What the F are you doing?
Yes, agreed.
I totally remember thinking that.
More so than the thing that people are stuck on with the spot of the ball. To me, those are the things that stuck out to me was that, in terms of if you want to talk about officiating, was like, let's talk about that interception play that ended up not being an interception.
Well, if you want to look it up, shoot, I'm curious now.
I think. Well, how long do you guys think, while you're looking your stats up, how long do you think it is before they chip the ball, so we know where it's spotted?
Dude, there's so many billions of dollars involved. I'm just surprised we don't do it already. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a matter of less than 5 years.
Because you could put them, you don't even have to put them like on every inch of the field. You put one in the ball, you calibrate it like, 6 inches from here, 6 inches from there.
Right.
And then you put a few down the sideline and you go like, here's the distance, 10 yards from here, 10 yards from there. You put them in the pylons.
It was 3rd and 5.
You put them in the pylons and you know exactly when the ball goes over. Then you just have to determine if he was down or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's it after that.
All right. So, I mean, here's the fight. Blah, blah, blah. Where's...
Oh, they did call it a catch for Kansas City. I said Buffalo had picked it.
Okay.
So the call was catch for Kansas City. So that makes it a little more difficult to overturn.
But you were saying that it was that it actually hit the ground, and I'm not seeing it hit the ground.
We got to see a replay.
Just need a different angle.
Yeah, when they slow it down. Excuse me. Are they called holding on that play anyway? I was not aware of. But look, there. And then the ball moves around afterwards.
It hit the ground?
Yes.
Hit the ground under control, not moving. Yeah.
So they're fighting. They're wrestling for the ball. They come into contact with the ground. The ball hits the ground and then moves around on the receiver's chest as he kind of comes onto his back. And so I was like, I don't know if that's a catch. And I was when we were watching it live, I was like, this is gonna be an incomplete pass. Because at first I thought it was an interception, and after that I was like, this is an incomplete pass. And I wasn't even aware of the holding call.
The holding call.
Yeah. So Kansas City would have gotten a first down anyway, but they gave him the catch.
Like I say, I think it was appropriate. The call was appropriate there. I mean, I can see what you're saying, but I think
you have to.
I like the call.
You have to recall some of the slowed down, because they looked at it for a couple minutes. So we saw the replay many times.
Right.
And there were some angles where it's like, okay, because we always do that. We slow it down to look at that little 0.2 of a second real quick. Oh, yep. Gets.
And honestly, what was your general impression of that game? Because for me, I thought Kansas City had the game the whole way. It was Kansas City's to lose. I thought they were controlling the tempo, the game. Like, the Bills had a chance to sneak it out at the end.
Well,
but I thought it would have been kind of an injustice if the Bills had. Kansas City, to me, dominated that game.
I wouldn't say they dominated the game.
Dominated is a little strong, but they
they
were always
lost
in
the turnover
control.
battle.
It felt like
Buffalo didn't turn the ball over. So here it was
Which
about
kind of proves.
it was about missed opportunities to me. Like you can't. All right, thank you for the update, son. He's obsessed with numbers and stuff. It's awesome. It was about missed opportunities. Kansas City cashed in on theirs, and I thought Buffalo did not have a great game plan for short yardage. Kansas City was well prepared, and I thought that they just, like we said this already, they just kept hammering away with the same play. I thought that James Cook was underused in the game.
Agreed there, because when he was used, he looked great.
He always does.
Yeah.
But this is a problem they've had, now 3 years. This is the end of James Cook's third year, so they're gonna have to decide whether or not they want to pay this guy pretty quick, and they don't ever use him.
Yeah.
So his situation is super weird to me going to the off season. And I thought they just didn't make the plays that they needed to make.
Right, and they had more opportunities to do it. Like you said, from the turnovers, they had more opportunities than Kansas City did, and they still couldn't take advantage. So to me, Kansas City was clearly the better team at the end of the game.
I thought going into the game that, I think so. I think Buffalo, and especially when you look at, if you want to look at one thing too, like in terms of like why the Chiefs win and the Bills lose, is, look at their two rookie receivers and what they did with them. And the Chiefs traded up with the Bills and took Xavier Worthy. And the Bills, having traded like 6 slots back, took Keon Coleman.
Right.
And Coleman had, I think, maybe 3 targets in the game. 2 of them looked bad because I think he was probably running the wrong route.
He'll be a receiver in the league, but nothing special.
He looks like he'd be a great number 2 at some point, is what it looks like.
Yeah, and he'll be a decent number 2.
But but what it means is they didn't get themselves a guy that you can design a game around like the Bills have, or the Chiefs have done with Worthy.
Well, and when they eventually get Rice back, I mean, he's going to get suspended too, so he's got injury and suspension to come back from. But Rice and Worthy, all of a sudden, both under contract for a couple of years.
Yeah, they look great.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it looks like Mahomes could be like. It's funny because people have been down on Mahomes. Mahomes could be like a really good pick in fantasy next year.
Yeah,
and we're like really good value. Like you could probably get Mahomes. We're talking like 5th, 6th round, because he's going to go after. Because now you can add Jaden Daniels to the list, of guys that he's going to go after because they run the football, and you don't expect Mahomes to. But like the playoff Mahomes has,
yes,
man,
always does. Like he saves it for the playoffs, and I think they saved Kelsey for the playoffs too. I think Kelsey's going to have a monster game today, or at least be a big part of the game plan. You know what I mean? Whether he ends up making the huge plays or not, we'll see. But he's going to be a large part of the game plan. I would say 7 targets. That would be my.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bet against that.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't. Yeah, 7 or more.
Yeah. I think Goddard's going to have a good game today.
So here's the other thing is that I think that the Eagles are. This is going to be this is the best test that the Chiefs will have had all year long, because the Eagles can get to the quarterback with 4, and they can stop the run with 4, because Jalen Carter takes 3 guys to block.
Yeah.
Like if we were drafting guys off of both teams, outside of Mahomes, I wouldn't take a Kansas City Chief until like player 8.
Yeah.
This Philadelphia Eagles team is loaded. They have so many good, and most of it is on their offensive and defensive line. So that's going to be the challenge. Is so Buffalo. I said going into the championship week, I said that I thought Von Miller needed to have a really big game. Like we needed to hear from Von Miller, and Matt Milano, who I talked about, was great. I think he forced the fumble in the game, the one turnover. Nice. And he's funny. And Von Miller didn't get called the whole game. Like, you didn't hear his name the entire game.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to get pressure on Mahomes. He play after play after play, he was able to just kind of navigate the pocket, get extra time, run if he needed to run, and he's going to have that. It's going to be a greater challenge today than it has been.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm watching today, is the Eagles' ability to get pressure on Mahomes. It's going to be everything in the game.
Yeah, no, I think they will get the pressure there. But God, Mahomes is just so good at handling that.
He is.
He
is really good.
He's the best I've ever seen by far. This man has taken football to another level to me.
I'm not ready to say that.
I'm looking forward to him, making history today. You know what I mean, with the three-peat. Like, he is that dominant. Let's give it to him.
The NFL had to make a deal with Pat Riley.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, for the three-peat.
Yeah.
That's why we're okay to use it. Otherwise, Pat Riley might sue us.
Yeah, back in like 1980, 89 or something. Oh, sweet. Thank you. Well, you're not going to have any room on your tablet for games, son. Back in like 1989, Pat Riley got patent rights for like three different. He got like three different patents involving three-peat. The phrase.
Yeah, because he coined the phrase.
Yes, and so he's owned it ever since. And no one. It hasn't really come up, I guess.
Right. So, I know they got permission to use it. Did they have to pay him to get permission?
Yes.
How much do we
I don't know.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, like funny. when you read they made a deal.
Yeah,
I'm sure what.
I'm curious.
Maybe it was like a Deshaun Watson deal or a Justin Tucker deal.
I don't remember Tucker. Deshaun Watson, obviously.
You didn't hear about Tucker?
I'm sure I did. I don't remember.
It just came out.
Well, what happened?
There's like 10 women in the area that are.
Oh, that's right.
Massage therapists.
Oh, that's right.
Massage
that's right.
therapists
again.
Yeah. Like
for who?
Justin Tucker, the kicker for Baltimore. He's banned in several massage parlors in the Baltimore area.
Do not service this man.
What the? What?
It's like my first.
Banned?
Well, right. Well, I mean,
you ask for certain things that they don't want to give. I mean.
So he walks into every
for
single one of
things
these
that aren't on the menu.
Right.
Yeah. So he walks into all
places.
these parlors and asks for his happy ending, and then they all just like.
It's like what Deshaun Watson was doing was he'd get the massage, and then when anytime they're near, he'd like force them kind of like, oh hey, you know what I mean?
So there's no telling exactly like at this point we don't know exactly what he did. But what I when I found out, somebody in one of my dynasty leagues put something in a group chat. And I was like, if he knew this was coming, because once it gets to the public, like it's something that's been brewing for a while, If he's known that this was going to drop, it kind of explains his bad season because he was awful this year.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. That totally makes sense. Because he was awful.
I think he might have been less than 50% from 50+ this year.
Look at this.
Jalen Hurts can't have plays like that today.
We're watching Jalen Hurts just absolutely drop the ball in the pocket. Like he wasn't even touched.
It was a scoop and score.
Scoop and score, yeah. I forgot about that. What a gift.
Yeah.
Jeez. What a gift.
Rehearsed.
11 parlors. That's trip.
You
That's
found the story?
addiction. That's addiction right there.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd learn your lesson off the first one, maybe the second one, but 11,
Dude.
Once you find one, you think you just keep going back to that one.
What's the fun in that?
Let's see what I have to do to get banned in this place.
And you're a freaking NFL player, dude.
I know,
like,
dude,
how
that's what
hard
blows
is
me
it?
away.
How hard is it to just, find somebody that will do that for you?
Right. But like I say that I'm sure there's not as much
it's
thrill
funny.
in that,
So
so
It's got to be that.
you said
Yeah.
that, and I immediately thought to I just watched The Other Guys again, and one of the little mini running jokes in the movie was they kept leaving his car, and homeless people kept getting in it and having what they called like a soup kitchen or something. So yeah, Justin Tucker, there's ways. You don't have to be sexually assaulting working people. Go get yourself a group of homeless guys in a seemingly abandoned car. Like a nice Prius. You guys know the movie I'm talking about, right?
I don't.
No?
Yeah. Will Ferrell and
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh no,
He's
what's
got-
it called?
The Other Guys.
Yeah,
It's on one of the streaming services right now.
You haven't watched it?
no.
It's funny.
So funny.
It's
So
pretty funny.
funny.
And I don't even like Will Ferrell, but
Will Ferrell's a tough one for me. But I
So
have
he
seen him in a
doesn't-
couple of things that I'm like, okay, that was pretty good.
So,
But there's been too many movies where it's just like I can't take this
because he's doing Will Ferrell things.
yeah.
He does not do that in this movie.
Okay.
Like they have him completely out of character. It's hilarious. Like his character is really funny, but toned down. It's not like physical funny. There's like, yeah, actually, the one scene I'm thinking of where he does like even a little bit of physical comedy. He does, man. You got to be impressed with his acting because he makes you feel like if you showed it to somebody who didn't know him, they wouldn't think that guy does a lot of that stuff. Does that make sense? Like he did a good job of presenting himself as awkward, and not like staying within character and it not being like an obvious thing that this guy always does flamboyant stuff like this. If that makes sense. It's a really good job of comedy. There's a lot of stuff in it. It's got Michael Keaton in it. It's got Damon Wayans Jr. and Rob Riggle.
Oh yeah. Riggle's good.
It's so good, so good. Yeah, definitely worth a watch.
All right.
So, yeah, I won't. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. We don't have to talk about that joke anymore. Although, that's to me that was a funny tie-in. I wish it landed better.
that movie.
Take that, Tucker. Well, it was a joke about Justin Tucker not being able to find someone to do that for him. The soup kitchen joke, but it didn't land very well. Maybe it wasn't a good joke. Look at that. You got like 3 yards on a tush push. And there's Chris Jones right there.
Yeah. But Buffalo couldn't really move that tush push.
I would say,
I know the Eagles do it at a different level, but
another key piece I don't see on the field for the Chiefs right now is Karlaftis. George Karlaftis has really kind of come into his own.
I remember hearing the name. What position?
He's an edge rusher.
Okay.
But I think,
The Kansas City defense is better this year than it was during the year that we're watching here. So that's something that I'm kind of keeping in mind too.
that's true. They've been better over the last 2 years than they were in 2022.
I think they're going to put everything on Jalen Hurts. Like they're going to do everything in their power to shut down Saquon, and then Jalen Hurts win it.
This offensive line is so good. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
So what do you like? What's the possibility of Saquon having a 16 touches, 75 yards, decent game, but can't really get things going? Doesn't break a big play.
So the only way they will continue watching them this year, they don't care if they're not successful right away. They will hammer away and hammer away and hammer away. And they'll use the passing game if they have to get first downs. But their goal is to continue to beat you up so that you give up in the fourth quarter. It's how Dallas used to win back in the 90s. So, like, I respect it. I like watching it, to be honest with you. Because Jalen Hurts, I think, on the year averaged like 21 attempts per game. It was super low.
But I think that Kansas City is going to do everything they can to make sure that number is higher today.
And in watching them, there have been games where they have struggled offensively. Like they struggled against Carolina, against of all teams, and they continue to stick with their game plan. So in order for that to happen, they're going to have to not be successful while the Chiefs are scoring touchdowns. If the Chiefs want to knock Saquon Barkley out of the game, they have to stop the Eagles early and score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because he's not a big part of their passing game. That's like if you want to knock their offense, it's that they don't do a good enough job outside of handing Saquon Barkley the ball of getting him the ball. Like they're not a great screen team.
Yeah.
But their weapons are.
He just got stable.
Help me up.
He's just like, come on, somebody help me up.
He can't waste that energy, dude.
Guess not. Although I don't feel like I see him run like that this season. But
He'd been hurt. He'd had a knee injury, I believe. I know Jordan Love got hurt at the end of the Packers-Eagles game to start the season, but I think Jalen Hurts got hurt in that game too. He just didn't leave the game. But if I recall, he did have a good championship week of running the football. I know he had 3 touchdowns, but
Did Bezzy tell us who he thinks is going to win today?
he thinks the Chiefs are going to win.
no, it was 10 carries.
Yeah, but he
for
hopes
16
it's a
yards.
close game.
But
That's all he wants out of this game.
So in the playoffs, Jalen Hurts rushing the football, 6 for 36, 7 for 70 and a touchdown, and then 10 for 16 with 3 touchdowns.
Oh, 10 for 6. Oh, right, a whole bunch of touchdowns.
And he's yet to attempt 30 passes. 21, 20, 28. And then 28 was in the blowout. And so they just play power football, and they do it with both. And early in the game, they do it with both running backs. So you'll see Gainwell more early in the game, typically than you do late. Saquon just is the closer, and he's a good one.
One of the best.
He's one of the best. Yeah, the guy is so freaking talented. It's insane.
Maybe Saquon will be able to get his Super Bowl ring and justify everything all his inner turmoil.
There's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of running backs that are rooting for him today, all around the league.
Agreed.
Because it just completely validates the money that the Eagles spent.
Which wasn't that much.
It was,
what a bargain.
It was 3 years for $40 million, I think.
Dude.
It's insane.
That's the keystone of your Super Bowl run.
That's what receivers are making per season now.
Yeah. Oh, they're making more than that.
No, it's right there.
That's a middling receiver.
No, Justin Jefferson's 35. It's a middling NBA player.
Wait. How much is Jefferson making?
35
a year.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. And Saquon's making how much?
13 and a half.
Wait a minute. So I was saying it was that it was nowhere close. That's not close.
You said receiver. Saquon's making middling receiver money. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
we misunderstood each other somewhere because we're
Wires
agreeing.
crossed. But we're good now. Yes, Saquon is making middling receiver money.
Right.
Yeah, and backup quarterback money.
Yep. Yeah. Which is crazy for the centerpiece of your team.
Because that's what Sam Darnold made this year.
That's funny too. He's going to make more next year. That's for sure.
And that's like if we were going to do a DraftKings lineup, that would be the reason why I would pick Hurts over Mahomes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's going to do a little bit of that. He's going to do a tush push.
And
he's going to get a tush push touchdown today. That'd be like, I don't know if you would call that a
I think in most
prop bet.
Most traditional offenses, I'm not sure actually how many he ended up with, but in most traditional offenses, Saquon Barkley would have had like 35 touchdowns this year.
35? Like, how many did he have? Didn't he have like a 13 or something?
I'm watching this game going, how the hell did
like
Casey
16.
lose this or win this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching this. Like, obviously, there's the scoop and score.
Right. And
you know what I mean?
And what we just watched was 2 long drives, but one of them ended in a scoop and score for Kansas City. So we just haven't seen Kansas City on the field much yet. It's been weird. And most of it's because of that scoop and score.
But without that scoop and score, it could be a 28-7 game right now.
Saquon
But they also would have gotten the ball back 9 minutes ago. You know what I mean?
There's other things too. We're not even done with the Eagles' miscues, but this is kind of how I feel like it's going to go. Like, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to stop them, and the Eagles are just going to have to play more button-down football, like not turn the ball over and not make silly mistakes, like take silly penalties and stuff like that.
And how have they been doing that this year? Have they been
for the last 2/3 of the season, they were the best defense in football.
I should leave it on the floor. I'll get it later. So they haven't been doing very many miscues and stuff like that this season?
No. They had I think the worst game that they played over the last 12 games of the season was that second Washington game, where I think Washington scored 35 points in that game or something like that. They just couldn't. After there was, like, we've talked about this before, that game just had like this wave of momentum shift against the Eagles when Jalen Hurts got hurt in that game, went out with a concussion, and then just all of a sudden the Commanders' offense woke up and their defense started playing better. And it was a bad game for the Eagles defense for sure.
Yeah.
So Saquon scored 15 touchdowns total this year. But the number of times that
there a Kelsey on both sides of the field this year?
In this Super Bowl, yes.
This one, but this year,
no.
This was his last. No. Kelsey wasn't in this. Jason Kelsey was already gone.
No, they showed his mom. She was wearing the jacket of both.
Yeah, both. Yeah, this was the big year that both were. It was a Kelsey Super Bowl.
It was last year?
It was this year.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It was after the Baker Mayfield loss. Yeah, it was the Bucs lost last year. They lost. Yeah, in the playoffs, right? Yeah, they lost. They lost to the Bucs in the wild card game.
Oh, the Eagles did?
Yes.
Oh, is that how they went out? Okay.
Yes, and that was Jason Kelsey's last game.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was double Kelsey game. I was saying Saquon had 15 touchdowns with the season that he had, but it was like 11 times throughout the season or something like that he ended with the ball on the 1. And the following play was a Jalen Hurts play every single time. I think there might have been one. I think there might have been one play where he scored the next time. But when I saw that, I just thought back to Emmitt Smith's 95 season.
How many touchdowns?
Oh, how many 1-yard touchdowns that Emmitt had that year.
That's always his specialty.
Because, there was never anybody better. Him, maybe Marcus Allen, if you remember.
Oh, okay. I remember the end of his career. That's like all he did.
Was score 1-yard touchdowns.
That's all he did.
He was so good. So good. Emmitt scored a lot of 1-yard touchdowns in 95. So if they were a team that, was like the Eagles are now, that number might have been like 15.
Yeah.
And so with Saquon's ability to catch the ball, I say traditional, like I think back to like Marshall Faulk, because Saquon's a guy that's got all the same skills that Marshall Falk had. Maybe not quite as shifty, but I mean, if you've seen the backwards hurdle, it's hard to call Saquon not shifty. Marshall Falk had I want to say 5 consecutive years with 80 plus targets for the Rams, including 2 years where he caught 80 plus balls. And so typically teams that have throughout history, teams that have had a running back that can do as much as Saquon can, they give him, I think Saquon had receiving numbers that are comparable to Derrick Henry this year.
Wait, say it again?
Saquon had receiving numbers that were comparable to Derrick Henry's this year.
Okay, which is not a good thing. Gotcha.
Not right.
I was like,
right.
wait a minute.
But you don't think of those two
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
as being the same. Like you think of Saquon as being a guy
Being much more, yeah.
Yeah. But it was 40.
I didn't remember Mahomes getting hurt here either.
43 targets, 33
Right
catches.
before the half ends, too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 33 catches.
Yeah, I was
for
expecting him to
278.
score here. I didn't realize they didn't score on that drive. Man, they came out with a big second half.
Funny how much you just forget.
Oh,
about
dude.
stuff.
It,
You only remember the final number.
Yeah, you
right?
tell me about a game from 2 years ago, I'm like, "Puh, I have no clue.
Actually, I think the Eagles scored right here. I think they kick a field goal and go in 24-14.
That sounds right, yeah.
He's faking it.
I don't think Mahomes, if they get ahead like this, I don't think Mahomes does some monster comeback this year, this Super Bowl.
You don't think so?
No,
Why?
No.
Saquon Barkley.
Think Saquon can just salt the game away?
Yes, he's done. That's been
Yeah.
the whole season. He's done it the whole season.
I hear you.
How many big comebacks has Mahomes had this year, though? You know what I mean? So
Mahomes,
it's
every one of their games has been close.
it's been close.
Has been
It's
close. But if the Eagles are able to get ahead, I'm pretty sure they get ahead in this game right now, it's a much different story. And who started with the ball? Was it Philly? And look at that! Look at that play. Did they give him the catch? Yep. And Devonta Smith is a rookie in this game. And he's their number 2.
They could have took that away.
I think they're going to.
I'm looking to see what defenses were actually able to contain Saquon this year. Just to kind of see.
I think I know he had a bad game.
Fantasy points wise, it was Pittsburgh,
Cleveland.
Cleveland, Dallas.
That's because he didn't have to play very much against Dallas. He was 14 for 66. Now, in terms of actually bottled him up, it was just Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Everybody else, he averaged 4.5 yards a carry or better.
And he's going against the second best rush defense in the NFL. I agree that Saquon is amazing. He's awesome, but I just think he might have some trouble. He's going to have a good day, not a great day. You know what I mean? If he has, 18 to 20 touches for less than 100 yards,
a good day and not a great
think
day
they
for
lose.
Saquon is based here. Check this out. These are his playoff numbers: 25 for 119. That's
Against who?
Green Bay. That's a good day, not a great day. If the Chiefs are able to hold him to 25 for 119, they did a good job.
I think they'd take that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 26 for 205 and 2 touchdowns.
I wouldn't take that one.
15 for 118 and 3 touchdowns.
Right. And who was that against?
That was Washington.
Right. Horrible.
It was against the Rams, who were probably the hottest defensive line in football at that
They
point.
were hot. You're right about that.
And then and that was 26 for 205 and 2 touchdowns. And he broke one for or did he break 2 in that game?
I think he broke a couple.
Were they both long touchdowns that he scored on?
Don't ask Ray. He's blocking that out.
Well, I know there was some I was watching some aftermath
the
on
snow
that.
game.
He was able to see that before the ball was even snapped. That long run, and
Yeah.
they
They had
like
little,
mentioned it. So I don't know if that means he's a smarter player now that he's been in this, a couple more seasons under his belt since this football season right here, the Super Bowl. So that's another thing to think about. He's a smarter player.
It's a new offense, and so it took some time. Like the first, if we were 6 weeks into the season, no one was talking about Saquon Barkley as RB1 for for fantasy purposes. At 6 weeks in the season, he had 200-yard games. One and his highest number was 147, but he wasn't
He wasn't blowing things away yet.
Yeah, he'd had 2 big fantasy days, so I guess maybe I'm misspeaking there, but in terms of being somebody who threatened for 2,000 yards,
You didn't expect that in the first 6 weeks. No, I agree with you.
no, and it was just really after that Cleveland game that they've been clicking. There was the Dallas game I'm throwing away because they blew Dallas out in that game,
Yeah.
and then Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh's tough.
Yeah, and he still made plays against
And
Pittsburgh.
the Pittsburgh defensive, and he did, and he also, if I remember correctly, there was one that he dropped. There was a pass that he dropped in that game.
If so, I don't remember. But.
It was. I remember thinking, it was during the process of them trying to put you guys away, but and the Eagles ended up doing that anyway, but. Just not with Saquon, and I was watching because obviously it meant it was important to me, having him on some important fantasy teams. But anyway, it just seems like they've done a better job of being centered around him,
For sure.
So they reversed the call, and that's when all the ref stuff started happening.
They like to get involved at the end of the half. Okay.
Yeah, this end of the half is taking forever.
End of half is ref time,
Yeah.
whether it's the first half or the second half. Look at those Jalen Hurts numbers in this game, though. 14 for 18, 154 and a touchdown. And he has the rushing touchdown. This doesn't even show his rushing stats.
And if you just hadn't have dropped that ball, they'd be crushing.
Yeah, -2 for the fum loss.
Yeah.
There's the tush push.
Successful again. And look how far out they were doing it from.
Yeah.
They needed 1.5 yards.
I don't think they're going to do that this year, though. I think that KC defense. I mean, just look how they stopped Josh Allen's tush push, and I know that's not the same as Philly. I know that's not the same, but they've shown that they're practicing that they have an ability to stop that in a different way.
Oh, and the Chiefs still had Snead at this point. L'Jarius Snead. Mm-hmm. So they had, a rookie. There's McDuffie right there, who's All-Pro this year. I believe he's an All-Pro this year.
And at this point, they're just going for a field goal.
I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
They need a still chunky yard. They still got a lot of time, though. They get timeout.
Yeah, you're right. Watching the first half, it's just it seems completely dominated by the Eagles.
Yeah, there's just that mistake.
Yeah.
If there's not that one mistake, we're talking. This is looking like it's going to be like 24-7.
Yeah.
Worse.
It also
Or
would have
worse.
given Mahomes another possession, so that could have changed things as well. So you have to.
I think it changes the urgency level, but
Yeah.
at this point, the Chiefs do not look good. And I think this, even without Jason Kelsey, I think this Eagles team's actually better.
Well, and I think, like I said, the Eagles team today is going to try to do these long, drawn-out drives. This is what they want. Like, they want to keep Mahomes off the field.
But Mahomes does this too, and that's
Absolutely.
and that's what that's what's been different about the Chiefs.
And that's why I think that under is really kind of a thing, because I think both teams are going for these long, drawn-out drives. It doesn't matter
because the reason I think that he does that is to keep the game from getting out of hand and keep momentum on their side, you know? And at the end of the game, they still kind of just do what they have to do to score points, and they still kind of I think we'd have to look back at their important matches throughout the year, but I'm pretty sure in most of their games against good opponents, they hit the overs. They just won.
Yeah. So I hope it hits the over today. I want a fun, exciting game. That's what I want to see.
I think we're going to get one.
Yeah, I think so too. Do either of you see any way that it's a blowout today?
I could see it happening. Yeah,
Yeah?
absolutely. Yeah, I could see
Going
Eagles
either way,
being-
or
I think if it's going to be a blowout, it's going to be Eagles. I don't think it's going to be KC.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
funny. I was thinking the other way.
It's like what we mentioned earlier. You know,
I don't-
a lot of the receivers are coming back, and then you got Saquon this season, and KC just hasn't really been blowing games up.
There's one player.
So have you been sold on the Eagles then? Are you?
I'm picking
officially
Eagles.
Picking the Eagles.
I'm picking Eagles. Yeah.
In my opinion, there's one player on the Chiefs side that can would have to have a monster game for it to be a blowout, and that's Xavier Worthy.
Getting some of those long plays.
And then on the other side, though, it's like it could be A.J. Brown, it could be Devonta Smith. It's probably going to be Barkley.
I think Goddard is going to have a lot to.
And I
say
was
in this game.
just going to say, but you're not thinking of Dallas Goddard as being like the reason that a team gets blown out, but he could definitely be. He's been great.
Well, the weakness in the Chiefs' defense is the tight end. That's the one spot that the Chiefs' defense doesn't really defend very well, and so
Yes, that's true.
And Goddard
That
is
is true.
a very capable tight end. So
And
I think
he's
that's
been
where they're gonna
efficient
be going.
too.
Yeah.
He has looked deadly as a weapon, like where it's like, we have to guard that guy too. You know.
Yeah, and especially with one of the when one of the receivers is hurt, like Goddard has a major.
They're all healthy
role
right
to
now,
play.
though.
Yeah.
Three
No,
people.
I'm relying on the weakness of the Kansas City defense in that spot. So.
Three-peat has never been done. I know that's a non-stat for you.
It has
but
been, not in Super Bowl era. It hasn't been done in the Super Bowl era, but the Packers have actually done it twice.
Yeah. Super Bowl is what we care about.
I mean, I don't. I don't.
How big was the league back then?
All right, old man.
20 teams?
The second time the Packers did it, there were two leagues because it wasn't until 1970 that the AFL merged with the NFL, and they both became conferences of the same league. In between 1960 and 1969, there was an AFL that had I want to say it was probably like 14 teams in each league, something like that. So you figure one of the Packers championships was just an NFL championship, and then the second two were Super Bowls. So they won in 65, 66, and 67.
But that's so before football was football. I don't know. I like the modern era, man.
Well, there's a lot of things wrong with that, right? Like the first one they won was the NFL season, right? And so there's 14 teams missing in that, and then of course one league is a little bit more dominant than the other, and so
The NFL was the more dominant league, though.
and they came from the AFL league.
No, the Packers are from the NFL.
Exactly.
The
so
Packers
it's like,
played against Jim Brown. They played against the Eagles with.
That's exactly my point, though. Is they were a more dominant league.
Yes.
And so it took a while. I want to say, didn't it take like a decade or two for that to balance out? where like it could go
It
either
was
way.
less than we thought because I think the Jets were the first to
In Super Bowl III, the Jets
the Jets
upset,
surprised everybody,
yeah,
but they were a
upset the
huge
Colts.
underdog there.
But yeah, so that era, if you like, people want to. It wasn't just that one year. The Packers won 2 other years in that same like 8-year stretch or something like that. They won like 5 and 8 years. Guys like Johnny Unitas, who like Johnny Unitas, they still like the 2-minute drill was started by Johnny Unitas. Before Johnny Unitas, football was mostly a lineup and run the football game. And when Johnny Unitas came around, like scoring changed because they learned to use these last 2 minutes of halves and stuff like that in a different way, and attacking defenses different way. He was the one that started that. So he was part of the NFL. You had Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus with the Bears were in the NFL.
Is that a catch?
You had Jim Brown on the with the Browns was in the NFL. And these are teams that lost to the Packers. The Eagles had the last 60-minute man in Norm Van Brocklin, who played both sides of the ball. There were some really, really historically talented teams that the Packers had to beat for these championships, and they did in a dominant way.
When did the NFL start crossing games?
66. That was the Super Bowl.
But I mean,
So
is
when-
like they like a NFC would go play AFC, even though
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that happened in that. Okay,
It was the first Super Bowl was the first crossover game.
right,
they
but
had-
just in regular season.
1970
Okay,
when they merged leagues.
so it's always been a thing.
What's that?
It's always been a thing in the regular season to play somebody from the other conference.
Yes. To the best of my knowledge, I could go back. I'd have to go back and look at that, but that's not something that I remember there being a split. Like you only played AFC teams all the way up until the Super Bowl. I don't think that was a thing. I don't think they ever had it that way.
I feel like when I was a kid, I was certainly a kid when I first noticed that they like crossed conferences like that. And I remember asking my dad, like, why does that happen? And he was like, they just do that from time to time. They play against somebody on the other. Because I think when the Rams beat the Titans, I think they had played them once before in the regular season. And I think that's kind of like, by then I had known it, but it was just kind of one of those things, like, it happens.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of every team plays the same number of conference and non-conference games every year, and I know it's like down the line of tiebreakers.
What?
But so it was after the Jets won Super Bowl III, the AFC kind of dominated the.
Wasn't he hurt before halftime?
70s.
Yeah.
He'll limp the rest of the game, dude.
What a scramble, dude. I love the way he scrambles. Just check this, check that. Oh, okay. Well,
Almost fall. What? No. Back on my feet. Prop bet, we see any left-handed throws?
No.
I'll bet against that one.
Well, I think is Saquon left-handed?
I have no idea.
Look at that. Look at that play design.
Yeah, this has been a very surgical drive based on a couple of, and it revolved around a couple of scrambles from Mahomes, and I think we're going to see a lot of that today.
Reed, he was the one that getting all the shit for his fucking playbook, right? They call it like a cheesecake factory like menu. Is he the coach that gets the shit for that?
I'm McCarthy can too. I know. What do you guys think about what's going on in New Orleans? Like
As far
it
as
seems like so. There's like reports now that Kellen Moore is going to be the head coach.
Oh,
But
I thought he meant the Super Bowl today. too. I was
But
like,
before,
like the city itself, like
yeah,
the
I was like,
location.
oh, what
So-
are we talking about?
interesting. Well, I mean, the actual team.
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah, we figured it out.
So,
It just took us a second.
Apparently, guys pulled out of the running to be the head coach. One of them was because essentially, like Aaron Glenn, apparently wanted to be the head coach, but he didn't want to work with Mickey Loomis. What's wrong, Logan?
He's frustrated about something.
I think he needs to go to the bathroom. You can go to the bathroom? Come on, let's go to the bathroom.
Yeah. He already did. Huh?
Oh, boy.
What's the matter?
We got an accident going on.
Do we need to call it? We've been going at it for 2 hours already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I understand, son.
So everybody, it looks like we're gonna go ahead and call it right here. Good luck with all your Super Bowl prop bets, and we'll see when we're on next time. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. But yeah, we'll talk to you guys all soon.
Enjoy the game today.